All right, there we go, and it's recording. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Basic Dude Stuff. I am Patrick, aka Raven F. You can find me on twitch.tv/RavenF, on Instagram at RavenF underscore, on Twitter at RavenF0 underscore O. I do have an account under Raven, just straight RavenF, but I was kind of an asshole back in the day of like Modern Warfare 2 on Xbox 360. So I can't use that account anymore. So if you find that one, that's the wrong one, but it is still me. Ed.
My name's Ed Howard. You find me on Instagram at eh59803 at Gmail. Can also be found on Facebook under Eddie Howard, and it's Eddie spelled Eddie, not DY. I don't know who the hell spells Eddie that way, but I run into that conflict quite often.
My aunt's name is spelled. Her name is Edie, and hers is spelled DY. So, yeah.
Dude, I can't tell you how bad it pisses me off when somebody spells my name with a Y. I'm like, no, not at all.
You know, for my name being Neff, it's really easy to spell. Yet people still fuck it up regularly. Neef, Knef, which is close at least, kind of similar. Nerf, that's Nerf. It's common issue. Huh? Oh yeah, and Ness, Ness. So, yeah, it happens all the time. It's annoying as hell. Anyway, so for basic dude stuff, we will be kind of discussing things that the general guy is into. Video games, anime, comic books, some nerdy, some jockey, sports, football will probably be a big one, at least for me anyway. Hockey, anything where you can hit somebody in, we'll probably discuss it a little bit, because we're guys, we like to hit each other. What can we say? As well as some general man things, like being able to change a tire. Some of you out there, we know you kind of struggle with that, so we might give you a little bit of a pointer on that as well. Maybe a little bit of woodworking. I started it last year. I got to get back onto it this year. But I started making a longbow in my garage with a tree I chopped down in my backyard. I need to get back onto that. But, that type of stuff, that's the kind of things we'll be discussing on here. For this first episode, you see, I told you I like to go on rants and shit, okay? So we're already starting off with a little bit of a rant. But it's all good. It's going to be full of it. So hopefully anybody watching this or listening to this won't be offended by harsh language. Because there's going to be a lot of it, especially from me. I know Ed here is probably going to try to limit himself, but once I start going, I can't stop. It is what it is. Yeah.
I wouldn't say I would limit myself, but I'm not as out there as you are.
I'm out there. With my career, it's to be expected. Right? I've gotten worse in the last year and a half since I started this career. So I gotta say, I've only gotten worse with being open.
I get worse, but I've learned to separate myself between work and home and.
Oh, I do.
The things I actually enjoy.
I absolutely separate myself. It's just a freeing feeling after working retail for 12 and a half years. The last couple as management, really the last 3 as management. And having to be very reserved in what you say to people when they utterly piss you off, and you have like the worst experiences ever dealing with the general public, to now where I have an open vocabulary and I can say whatever I want at any given time, even when I'm talking to my superiors. In a way, I can't always say anything I want, but
you wouldn't be referring to that time that woman tried to return the Grand Theft Auto game that was rated mature.
Oh man,
that said it had no warnings.
Oh yeah. So anybody out there, I'm sure a lot of people have worked at retail or Walmart, GameStop, anything like that. You can't return a disc. It's copyright material, DVDs, Blu-rays, video games, whatever. You cannot return it. You have to get the same exact thing, even if it's for a different system, whatever the ordeal might be. You have to get it for the same. You have to get the same item. because of the loss. This woman came in bitching at me and screaming at me because her kid, who was like 13 or 14, purchased Grand Theft Auto 4, I believe it was, back on the Xbox 360 days. And she was mad because she found her kid playing and hearing the gunshots and seeing her kid pick up a hooker, take her to a back alley, and banging her. Okay. She got pissed off and started screaming at me over this and saying that there was no warnings. I literally pick up the game case, see if I can find the game case around me here somewhere. I don't have anything by me. Anyway, I picked it up, held it up to her, and was like, "You see this? You see the M? That stands for mature, 17 and 17 and up. That's what the plus means. On the back, violence, gore, sexuality, blah blah blah. Can't fucking help you." God damn, I hate people so much at that point in time. But hey. See what I mean?
My worst horror story with Walmart was so I went in there one day and picked up it was a rated R movie, got to the cash register, and they carded me. Well, back there a day later to buy some ammo for, some sports shooting that I was getting ready to do, and they never asked me for my ID or nothing, and I walked right out of the store with it. I was like, "So, you're not worried about me buying bullets, but you're worried about what I'm watching on my home entertainment system."
Yeah. Well, how long ago was that, though?
Bro, that was 7 or 8 years ago, maybe. It was before all the controversy.
I was about to say, you do that now, and you're getting carded, you're getting added to the TSA watch list. The government's going to be knocking on your door, all that kind of crazy shit now. It's a sad state.
Yeah. Well, I understand times are different, but man, it's just like, Christ's sake, have priorities, and obviously a rated R movie versus something that can be used by the wrong people for the wrong purposes kind of outweighs what I'm watching on my TV.
Well, hey, don't you know that rated R movies and rated M video games contribute to all the world's violence, and before these ever existed, there was never any kind of violence?
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Oh, man. God. I can feel myself.
Bullshit.
I can feel myself about to go off onto a tangent. Anyway, back on track here before I really lose myself. So yeah, like we said, this is gonna be called Basic Dude Stuff. Think of basic bitches, the common term, derogatory term to some people, comical to others, but for dudes, like I said, alcohol, guns, sports, whatever. If it's guy stuff pretty much, or typical guy stuff, we're probably into it, and we'll probably be discussing it on here. If anybody's watching or listening and you have any recommendations or thoughts or opinions, feel free to comment, say something to us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Feel free. I'm sure we'll come up with some topics that people don't quite agree with and want to argue against, or they'll come up with some topics that we never even thought of. So, but yeah, so for introduction wise.
Yeah, so certainly we want to hear.
Want to hear from what?
I said, and certainly we want to hear from the viewers.
Oh, absolutely.
As to, what we should be creating content on, or things that they'd like to see and hear. You like to go on rants, and I can go along with them. Who knows, maybe we'll throw in a couple of top 10 grapes episode or something.
Yeah, I'm sure I could have all kinds of shit, blooper reels, everything. At least this time, I will say, at least for this, on my other podcast that I do, I always mess up my introduction. I always mess up on my wording when I'm talking. I always screw something up. This time I actually said it flawlessly. I got it all correctly and said everything properly and enunciated hopefully well. I don't know. Can't tell. I can't hear myself while I'm talking with my headphones on and everything, but I think I got through it okay. First time in history for me. I'll take that as a win so far on this. But anyway, so We've known each other for. We were just discussing this before we started recording. We've known each other for approximately 20 years now. Um, we're filming this in 2020, so those of you that aren't quite
20
math scholars,
glorious years.
we've known each other since about the turn of the millennia. It's been fun. We even though we live about 1,000 miles apart now, we grew up together after, like middle school age. We knew each other from then on.
It's
Um,
essentially brothers with different mothers.
yeah, basically. To the point where my amazing fiance, told me that after the two of us spent lunch together a few months back, that she would have thought that we were actually blood brothers by the way we acted, talked, and everything else. Just our mannerisms were pretty much the exact same. But yeah, so
Well, you know what? There's a lot to be said when you can have a intelligent conversation with no filters, and you can respect with what each other's saying, even if you don't agree on everything.
I'm glad you'll take our conversations as intelligent, because I don't know.
Well, they get a little off the rails every once in a while, but
A little.
I think we definitely.
Oh, I
Well,
mean, we have some good ones.
we've had some. I mean, most of it's shenanigans, but
Mhm.
every once in a while we get on a deep topic, or one of us has had a shit day or had something bad happen, and we come back to reality. But
Yeah,
life's too short to dwell on the shitty stuff.
exactly. And that's one thing that I can honestly say, even through the years, everybody has those specific friends that, 1 minute they could be, going into some seriously deep shit, venting about problems or whatever, or, somebody that's feeling, angry, depressed or whatever due to family passing, or just, going into a bout of depression in general. Hopefully everybody's got those people that they can discuss that with. And then in the same breath, after finishing a sentence, that person that you're venting to could tell you to, shut the fuck up, get the fuck over yourself. You're going to be fine. Stand the fuck up, grow some balls, and move on. That's like the guy way, but in a way, that's kind of what a lot of us respond to. That's how I am. If I'm feeling fucking angry and shit like that, and you tell me shut the fuck up, grow some balls, and let's go, I'm going to take that entirely differently than what most people will, because I know exactly what you're saying. It's that guy thing.
Yeah, but at the same time, if we're going to be on the topic of basic bro stuff, I mean, men have to know when they need to show that sensitive side, which I've had to show you every once in a while.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you and I have
versa.
had,
Just
you
depending
and I have
upon the
had
situation, not every situation is, hey, shut up, get the fuck over it, I mean,
right? No,
Christ,
by no means.
I know you and I, we've had some serious losses over the years, and man,
Oh, yeah.
I can honestly say, out of everybody that we went to school with, you and a select few others, because our circle of friends was always small. We always picked up the pieces when it was time to do so.
Oh, yeah,
and that's just how we rolled, and we kept it moving.
Absolutely.
So back to how we actually met. Gym class, basketball. You may have taken a knee to the face.
May
have had to apologize for that.
Yeah, this some bitch.
Blood was running out of your nose.
This some bitch. Everybody's first impression. Everybody says first impressions are, everything. Pretty much everybody that I know all said that their first impression of you was that you were a fucking asshole. Everybody said that you looked like a dickhead because you had your light blonde hair always spiked up, gelled up and everything, that style. Everybody just assumed that you were a dickhead, and then people saw me get kneed in the face by you, and it just established everybody's first thought. But yeah, it kind of established mine, and then it went from there. After I was kind of picking myself up, I'm still confused as how in the fuck you need me in the face anyway. I don't quite understand how that
I
happened
got
when
jumped.
we both jumped for a rebound and you happen to knee me in the face. Like, come on, I'm a big dude, I know, but like, god damn, I was big then as well. But man, I'm not like that bad at jumping to where you're jumping like 4 feet over my head to knee me in the face. But
Bro, I had my LeBron James on that
man, good god, come on, man.
day. Yeah, you were jumping up and down like a 4 foot midget, and I
Four
looked
foot.
like I was 6'7".
My god. No, that's another friend of ours that that I'm not gonna talk names about, but that's another friend of ours that yeah. Anyway, moving
But
on.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
I, I, I've been told that I come off as until you actually start to talk to me, that I can seem a little standoffish and dickish. But that I'm sorry, if you're going to be successful in anything, you have to exert some type of confidence. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah.
not meant to be a dick. I don't necessarily think I'm better at anybody or better than anybody at any particular thing. I like to think of myself as a jack of all trades, but what I do know, I'm
No,
going to do
absolutely.
it confidently, or I'm not going to do it at all. So, and you know, I think my character that day showed that I was not a dick, because I think I apologized to you like 15 times that day. I felt terrible.
Yeah, probably about that. Yeah, but we were also kids. We were or middle school. God damn, that seems like forever ago now. Um, but I mean, yeah. So shit happens, but
Yeah, 2000.
about that somewhere around there. Kind of iffy on the exact
2000.
date, but pretty damn close to it.
We were in middle school, 99, 2000, because I don't know, it was 2000, because
2000, 2001.
September 11th, which is we were sitting
Yeah.
in English class when all that happened.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Yep. Still remember that.
so
I got taken out of school early. So of course, at that point in time, we lived like relatively close to where some of that shit went down. Not going to specify
oh yeah, I
what,
mean
but
Christchurch. Yeah, but I mean, you gotta think where we lived at the time. We were 5 hours from New York and even closer to DC. So I
much
mean,
closer.
I
And just
just
to think,
remember everybody's. Yeah,
if that power plant had gotten attacked, which they were really worried about, we would have all been screwed because we were real close to the power plant.
yeah. But moving on from middle school, went to high school for 4 years and
Yeah.
somehow managed not to fail. I remember you and we got stuck in that badass English class where all the kids
Oh
didn't
my
want to
God,
listen. And
that was terrible.
oh,
That
you, bro, if you didn't sit next to me in that class, I probably would have flipped out. Like every day, the teacher was screaming,
yeah.
and then when they had a substitute teacher come in, it was even worse. But shit, it paid off for us, because teacher came up to us and was like, "Hey, you want to go on this field trip with the honors kids or whatnot?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure. If we ain't got to sit here." And we were the only two from that class that went.
Yeah. We were too
But
smart to be in that class
the
anyway.
morning
That
that we
was,
were getting ready, I remember
yeah, one of my
that was
favorite
called.
stories.
I didn't. It was called We Didn't Want to Read a Book Over the Summer.
Yeah, yeah, that's the whole
I
reason.
forget what they wanted us to read. What was it? It was To Kill a Mockingbird or something
That's exactly what I
over
was
the
about to say.
summer. And we were like,
Because I was mad as hell because my
yeah,
freshman year I had to
you,
read
you,
To Kill a Mockingbird before freshman year started, and I want to say that was that was our junior year, because you were driving already at that point and everything. I want to say, pretty sure it was our junior year, and they did it again. I was like, I'm not fucking reading this goddamn book again. They're like, well, you'll be in the basic class. I'm like, I'm not reading To Kill a Mockingbird again. Well, you'll be in the basic class. Okay, that's fine. I'll pass it with like 105%, but I'm not reading the same damn book again. Nothing against the book, but you had to read it and provide proof that you read it, and then take the test and everything and write the essay. And I was a stubborn ass high school kid. I never did my homework, and if I did, I left it in my locker because I got done everything early in class. But that's a whole different thing. So yeah, we were in that class, and oh man, decided to go get breakfast that morning, and things almost took a horrible, horrible turn for us. Well, for you, because I was in the passenger seat. I wasn't driving. That would have all been you. Sorry, brother.
I was taking you with me.
I appreciate that. If you're going down, I'm going with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, where did we go to get breakfast?
McDonald's, because we got
hands are covered in grease. Yeah.
We went to McDonald's drive-through, and or did we go in and eat? I can't even remember. Anyway, we went to McDonald's, and we got like a couple Egg McMuffins and like hash browns and shit like that. And yeah, that poor old guy's face, I still see his expression as he's standing there leaning on his shovel in his ditch as we just fly by.
Yeah, but you remember when my hand slipped off the wheel because of all the grease from the sandwiches? Like, I punched the ceiling. Like, I thought I broke my hand.
That's still what you say to this day. I don't know. I can't confirm nor deny that's actually the exact way it happened. I just remember looking out the window and all of a sudden hearing a loud ass thunk. You punching your hands out, motherfuck.
Yeah, as we
jumping a ditch in a driveway.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, that was bad. But somehow I managed to keep it on the road.
Yeah, barely avoided your first case of
went on the field
manslaughter.
trip, and the rest was history.
Yeah.
I wasn't that close to the dude. The guy was more like, what the hell are these two dumbass kids doing? I was like, man, we're eating Egg McMuffins and had a little too much grease on the steering wheel, and my hand slipped off.
Yeah. Good times, though. Some great times.
Oh, yeah, man. Freaking stay up all night playing video games. Go hiking through the woods playing all kinds of shit.
Mm-hmm.
We had a good childhood. I can't complain. We had it better than some.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Because, I mean, because neither one of us were rich, but I can't say that either one of us were necessarily poor neither. So we took shitty situations and had fun with it, and we took good situations and had an even greater time.
Oh yeah, I remember we had, especially at your place, we had tons of sleepovers with everybody. Like what, 6 of us crashing there and playing Halo and Gears of War and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, back when you had to run that little. You had to run that long ass cord between all the bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had like 3 TVs hooked up, and it was like 100-foot cord. I don't even know what happened to that, but we, parents would come in and yell at us, turn it down, and we wound up painting one dude's fingernails a couple of times and did his makeup because he was the poor bastard that fell asleep first.
And I still blame that type of thing on why anytime we crashed at your place, I never ever allowed myself to fall asleep. Like, I was up until like the sun was coming up because I was not about to be the first poor bastard to fall asleep. It just wasn't happening.
But you know what? We only ever did it to one of our inner circle of friends. Everybody else got away scot-free.
Yeah,
it was like we knew who was going to fall asleep first.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays that could probably be looked at as like bullying and shit, but we had fun with it.
man, you know what, I'm sorry, like, some of this, I think some of the things that go around now about bullying and stuff is a little blown out of proportion, you know. Don't get me wrong, there's definitely bullying out there, but I mean, you got to know the difference between guys that are just friends and how we interact with each other versus, you know, today's generation, and excuse my language, but the pussified American male that can't change a tire, doesn't know how to take a sarcastic joke. You know, we live in this society where just because you say something and someone disagrees with it, or, you know, you tell a joke that comes off as harsh, and, you know, everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. Man, let your boys grow up and be boys, you know.
Right.
I mean, Christ, we didn't turn out so bad. You and I both wound up being fairly successful in our careers, as well as our, you know, side ventures. And hell, you and I have been talking for a month now, and you told me that you've gotten into podcasting, and I was like, man, that sounds like a pretty interesting venture. Let's go on with it. And you're like, well, what do you want it to be about? I was like, you know what? Let's keep it simple. Let's go back to basics and make it something that, one, is entertaining for men. I think even, you know, women will get a kick out of it. Mm-hmm. You know, just talking about the things that make us us, and to shed some light on, you know, some of the issues that are going on today, as well as have fun with it at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. 100% agree. And yeah, podcasting is fun. I know with my other podcast, my first few episodes, I started out by recording on my phone on Skype. I would jump on my phone, get on the Skype call on my phone, and we would just go from there. Horrible audio quality. The video was actually decent because my phone had great camera, but excuse me. You know, just starting there from basic stuff, and my setup's nothing like it is now, and I'm just going to say thank you to my amazing fiance for all this stuff up here, putting all this up. She spent one of her days off setting all this up. My computer, she got me to be able to help with doing the podcast and school and everything. So without her, literally none of this would be happening, and I greatly appreciate everything. She's going to say I'm lying or something here in a minute, I'm sure, because she's sitting 6 feet away from me, but...
Well, I can tell you this much. I've known you for a long time, as you said earlier, and I know damn well you did not decorate that room.
Hell no.
You would have been like, who needs these shelves? I need a beer fridge there, freaking monitor here, basic microphone, decent camera. Let's roll with this shit.
Yeah. My beer fridge, I'm just going to say my beer fridge is down here. It's like literally a little fridge. It's perfect because it holds a 6-pack of cans, or like 4 Monster cans, like the 4 tall Monster cans, or 4 tall boy beers. But it's like perfect because it keeps everything nice and cold, and it's right here to where it's kind of out of the way. It doesn't make the loud humming. It's absolutely perfect. I love it. But I do have my beer fridge. I'm just saying.
Well, you know what? Well, you know, I'm just getting into this. Hell, I ordered all this equipment, late last week?
Yeah, Thursday.
You know, right now I'm doing all this from my drafting table that I use for drawing and stuff like that, which, yes, that is a big hobby of mine, and I make a little bit of money on the side, besides my 9 to 5, if that's what you want to call it. And, you know, hopefully one day I can afford the setup that you have. It's just going to be a work in progress. So
all this stuff, I'm just saying, like,
when I get this,
all the stuff back here took years to accumulate. I got that little football there from when we went to the NFL draft in Chicago before we went out of the country to the Philippines back in 2016. that little statue there, my Jamal Lewis statue, I found that at Goodwill for like $1.50, some shit. My Ray Lewis Legends Rocky Patel cigar box I got as a gift a few years ago. Uh, this little Voodoo Ranger statue I got from a Twitch community meetup in Chicago. The hats have all been built up for years. The Dragon Ball is all built up for years. Like literally, all this stuff is stuff that she started buying me for gifts like years ago. So it's taken a long time to get what I got. That's for damn sure.
Well, I'm a huge anime fan, and I appreciate the Dragon Ball setup that you got.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I dislike football, because I actually love it, but I can honestly say I'm nowhere near into it as much as what I was when I was actually playing.
Right. I'm still just as much into it, if not more now, from back in our high school days and everything, you know. Just cover that up there. Yeah, so I still watch it a lot. Football is my still one of my passions, one of my biggest things. I would love to get into it, like coaching or whatever, high school level at some point in life, or covering it, talking about it, writing about it, whatever. Speaking of football, our next episode 2, is going to be based around the XFL, similarities, differences, everything else with the NFL. So stay tuned for that as well. Figured while we're talking about football, it's a perfect plug. But yeah, I mean,
Oh yeah.
I gotta say, man,
No, it's a topic I'm
go ahead.
pretty intrigued about. I said it's a topic I'm pretty intrigued about. I think it'll go over pretty well. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not an expert on it by any means, just because it's so new. But there's definitely a lot of talking points that we can cover. You know.
Oh yeah.
Basic rule changes. You know, understand the play clock's only 25 seconds versus 40 or some craziness.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I think it'll be a decent episode that anybody that's into sports, mainly football, NFL, will definitely take something away from.
All right. Oh, I agree. Absolutely agree. It'll be a little bit less random than this episode, just because we're, covering a lot of stuff at the same time, between introductions between ourselves, how we know each other, and then what we're going to be talking about, discussing opinions on things. So this episode, I figured, was kind of going to be all over the place at times, but it is what it is.
Yeah, well, do you want to finish talking about yourself, and then I'll follow suit as far as what your background's in and what your interest and main hobbies are?
Yeah. So, as everybody kind of figures out, video games, as I've mentioned, football, anime, Dragon Ball, Attack on Titan, things like that. That's all my biggest things. I am a giant nerd. I have a ton of comic books. I used to read textbooks for fun. I love reading. I haven't really done it in a long time. I used to draw quite a bit. As a matter of fact, we were in art classes all throughout high school together. Studio art classes that really kind of hone skills at the high school level, probably about as much as a high school level can. Speaking of which, you remember our art teacher, great art teacher. She was fantastic. Do you remember her struggling to figure out how to plug in and set up the VCR DVD combo player? Even though it was the red, white, and yellow plugs, and she couldn't figure it out, so she asked you to come up and set it up for her.
Yeah, she was a phenomenal teacher, but she was batshit crazy. Like, well, I'll go on that rant when I do mine. But yeah, she was a lunatic. You didn't have to spend 3 periods a day with her. Like, oh my god.
No, thankfully, no. I almost did, but I was like, no, I can't spend that much time in that one room. I can't do it. So I opted not to. I could have, probably. In some ways, I kind of regret it, because I'd probably be much farther along as an artist than where I am. Not to mention, I haven't really drawn anything in quite a long time. Every time I start working on something, I end up spending too much time doing other stuff. I got too many damn hobbies and likes that it's really difficult to dedicate an abundance of time to anything. Um, by the way, before I move on from
I
that
think we
class,
should have a draw off.
have a what?
I think we should have a draw off on here one day.
You'll fucking
We'll
annihilate
each
me.
take a weekend.
There's, without a doubt, you will fucking. My shit's gonna look like kindergarten macaroni art. All right. So,
it ain't gonna be that bad. Who knows? You'll probably smoke the shit out of me. I mean,
anyway,
let's face it. You're only giving me a week to do it. Go on, man.
We're sensing some serious bullshit alert here. Anyway, before I move on from the art thing, I still have the fucking pencil mark in my leg from where you stabbed me in the fucking calf muscle with your pencil in that class. All right, still to this day.
I don't remember that.
Oh, I do. I tell everybody.
Do that?
We were sitting side by side in art class, and I think I took something and hid it from you, or I said some smart ass remark or did something I can't remember. Probably said something fucking stupid, knowing me. And you had your freshly sharpened fucking pencil with a hard ass lead. I can't remember what lead style it was, but it was hard as fuck. I want to say it was like a 4 or 5. And you fucking just went straight like fucking Lizzie Borden style, and fucking hit me right in the calf. And when people ask me what my first tattoo is, I always tell them that is it. And they don't get the reference, and I explain it to them because that bitch is still there, very prominent, and it's never going away.
I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I don't remember that. It's not me bullshitting you. I honestly don't.
I mean, I believe you 100%, but yeah, it happened. Believe me, I have the mark to prove it. All right, so, and then yeah. Anyway, moving on from that. Yeah, I started getting into woodworking a little bit last year. Really started working all a shit ton of overtime at my job to pay for my wedding that's coming up and everything. So I kind of got away from a lot of stuff. But like I mentioned, excuse me. Like I mentioned earlier in this episode, I started working on a long bow that I got to go back and finish. The bow itself is going to be approximately 6 feet tall, and I have to finish shaving it down and getting it designed and everything, and then I have to get a pole set up, 2x4, whatever I want to use, and put notches in it at different degrees for the string when I go to use it, and then slowly pull it down after it sets and after the wood bends and everything. If anybody's interested in any of that stuff, you can find a ton of walkthroughs on YouTube and everything. Perhaps I might try to get some video of it as like a time lapse or something, and show me as I'm shaving it down and then the process of it and everything. And then I'm gonna take some of the other wood that I got from the trees that I cut down and create my arrows with that. You know, just buy some arrowheads or whatever, but make the actual arrows out of that, and then some bird feathers that are all over the place. That's the kind of stuff I'm really into as far as like dude stuff. Creating my own weapons and shields and things like that. One of my next projects that I want to work on when I actually get the time is I want to create like a Viking style shield, you know, a round Viking shield with the straps on the back side of it, and then have different designs on it or whatever. Maybe my logo, I don't know yet, but it's kind of stuff I'm into. I could go on and on all day long about myself and shit that I'm into because I have so many interests. So I'm just gonna cut it there and throw it over to you there, Eddie.
Well, I mean, you know me, and for those of you that are tuning in, my biggest hobby and passion is drawing. I'm formally trained through Salisbury University. Got to give them a shout out because they took 4 years of my life and a lot of my money. But studied figure painting and things of that nature. In fact, my main focus was in was in drawing the human form, studying the human anatomy. Um, and I do pretty much everything from hyper realistic style drawings all the way down to you know, cartoons. Done some anime. In fact, just finished a piece for Neff here on the other side of this camera that is hopefully going to be hanging right there where the brim of his hat is pointing at some point when I go up to visit him here in the near future.
It'll be somewhere around there. I'll figure something out.
In fact, the piece was solely designed to be introduced on his podcast, and hopefully we can do the big reveal. I've actually had it done for quite a while. You know, it's funny, the day that I told you I was going to send it, I was going to scan the digital image so we could put it up on your channel.
Mm-hmm.
The goddamn piece of paper is bigger than the scanner that I have. So I've ordered a new scanner that will accommodate the large size of the portrait. So, but other than hopefully on here, I'll get to show you all some time lapses of my work. My big hobby right now, as far as the art world, is working with alcohol-based inks. Anybody that's familiar with Copic markers and Sumi inks knows that it can be quite expensive to do. So, and it's very time consuming, and it's one of those things, if you fuck it up, you pretty much are starting all over again. So spend a lot of time on individual pieces. Like you, have dabbled into the woodworking, mostly wood burning, using a wood burning tool with different images. Aside from the art realm, played a lot of football when I was younger. I still am pretty active as far as powerlifting and stuff like that. I kind of phased out of the football. Still watch it every Sunday, still enjoy watching the game, and I actually found myself, I like watching the college level more than I do even the pros. Big outdoorsman, hunting, fishing, big advocate of the Second Amendment and the right to keep and bear arms. So is Mr. Neff. Both of us have formal training in firearms, and while I enjoy the formal aspect of it, and I believe it's important for everybody to get some type of formal training, because just because you own a gun doesn't mean that you're safe, you know.
Exactly.
Definitely should have formal training if that's an interest of yours. But I'm just fortunate. I got a buddy that owns a gun shop. Actually, I got two buddies that own gun shops. If anybody's watching this is ever in the market or looking for someone that has a wealth of knowledge, I'm going to give a quick shout out to REK Firearms and Delmarva Law Enforcement Supply. Those guys are top notch. They're in the Maryland and DC area. But I actually enjoy shooting and reviewing different firearms and things of that nature. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, and by no means is this channel meant to make political statements. You know, we're not necessarily here to offend everybody, but if we do, you know, it is what it is. It's a controversial topic, and there's going to be a couple of other controversial topics, but that is a big passion of mine. Can't say that I've ever made a bow, so I'm not gonna lie, I have no interest in shooting a bow, but I'm definitely interested in seeing how yours turns out.
It's for me, it's
like
just
I said
one of those
earlier,
things. It's sorry to cut you off just real quick. For me, it's just one of those things to see if I can do it and do it properly. to where it's actually functional, to where like our ancestors would have used, hundreds of years ago to hunt down animals for, their food and everything. Like, would I be able to survive if something happened and there were no guns, no ammo, shit like that? Would I be able to use something like that to survive? That's kind of the whole purpose behind it and why I'm doing it, and I find that rather interesting.
Certainly not knocking it at all.
Oh,
I
I
think
know.
that's actually fabulous. I mean, my go my go-to would be fishing and farming because family owns a decent-sized farm, and
Hmm.
that's kind of the stuff I grew up around. And working on the water was the big part of my childhood. But um, like I said earlier, I try to be a jack of all trades, but I would say that the bulk of my knowledge is definitely in the art realm. Uh, Other than that, I kind of enjoy some of the same things that you do as far as the comics and uh, animation is concerned. We, Christ, we grew up on shows like Gundam Wing and Dragon Ball Z back in the day. And um, speaking of which, do you prefer old way and the old style of the animation, or do you like the newer computer generated style of animation?
I I think I prefer the old way, but the new way isn't overly terrible for most cases. Like, there are some references that I could probably find. I can't think of the exact ones off the top of my head, but I know there are ones that I've seen that I absolutely hated the new way. Um, so I like when I think of like
Well, and
older. Good.
and the reason I'm saying this is, man, I tried to like, I'm a huge fan of the Dragon Ball. I've read all the mangas, and as well as watched the animated series. And I don't know, it just seems like there was a level of craftsmanship into the old style, and I don't know, things just looked a lot tighter and neater. And
Hmm.
I don't know, I just finished watching the Super series, and I mean, just some of the animation kind of looked off. It almost looked rushed.
There
But
was.
I even went back and tried to watch that. What was it, Dragon Ball Z Kai, where they cut out all the filler or whatever they want to
Mhm.
call it. And man, the colors were just so too vivid in my opinion.
Mhm.
I almost felt like I was staring at a candy dish full of jelly beans. I mean, it was just oversaturated color
Right.
and piss poor, uh, you know, animation. And don't get me wrong, I make a lot of mistakes in my artwork, and I'm by no means a professional uh, when it comes to that type of stuff. But just, I don't know. I like the old way better. It just seemed like there was that love and attention to detail that you don't necessarily see with some of the computer generated stuff.
Absolutely agree. With the older stuff, like you said, the attention to detail, it was a lot harder to go through and fix mistakes and kind of cover things up. With the computer generated, if they notice something a little bit late, they can go back in and they can change it up. I just feel like it's not to say it's easier because computer generated is still hard as hell. I've dabbled a little bit in animation and design and everything like that in some spare time, and it is a pain in the ass to make sure everything's flowing and moving correctly, especially with the movement. But it's not as intimate or personal as the older style is. You know what I mean? Like, you don't. I feel like the artists don't have quite that same attachment with what they do. Dragon Ball Super, when it was coming out and everything, like the first probably 20, 30, 35 episodes, there were numerous scenes where Goku in particular looked fucked up. Like, the imaging and the animation was just absolutely terrible on his part. Like the facial structure, the body, everything else was just so out of whack, and it really bothered the living hell out of me and a lot of people.
Well, I'll tell you who looked worse than him was the character Piccolo. I mean, it was absolutely terrible. But now, I will say this: when they released the Broly movie, they got some redemption points on that, and that's one thing I will say about the newer animation. It definitely seems like the transition and the, I guess, how do I want to put it? I guess the transition between scenes and the fight sequences seem to run a little bit smoother than the old way. But I don't know. I'm a traditionalist. I've dabbled in the digital realm, but I don't know. It's just a personal touch to me to know that there's only one original and not something that you can hit print 100 times and make as many copies as you want.
Oh, absolutely, I agree. And that's why I said like the more intimate feel and more personal, because with the old style and with everything being hand completed, every little flaw is unique, and it's because of it being much harder to cover up some of the flaws. It becomes a part of the piece itself. There are paintings and pieces that have been done by big time famous people that would not have sold as well if it wasn't for the flaws, because every painting they did could have been the exact same. There's pieces from Van Gogh, Leonardo, anybody really that you can think of. They've got pieces that were what they were because of minor flaws.
Oh yeah, I mean there's just something to be said for looking at that brush stroke or that pencil mark that's still into the paper from the underdrawing. I don't know. I thoroughly much enjoy that fact when I do a lot of my work. Very rarely do I erase the underdrawings.
Right.
I mean, most of it can be masked by the ink, but you still see some of it, and I just think it adds character to it.
Absolutely. But I like that in the structuring. I like that. My last piece about that is like I really love that too, because it shows the structure of how you do it and everything when you can see that.
But to finish off the rest about me, my last hobby, which I think you can kind of see behind me, I keep a rather large aquarium. One of my college roommates was a biology major, and he kept fish, snakes, all kinds of reptiles, and he kind of got me into that, and I've been doing it for, I guess, the last 14 years. 12 or 14, somewhere in there. I know one of the fish in the aquarium behind me is at least 8 years old. So, but I don't keep your common goldfish. I keep more exotic fish. So, but other than that, man, that's pretty much all there is to know about me. I'm sure some other things will come to light as we continue the podcast, and we hope that everybody is along for the ride and enjoys themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of the fish thing, real quick before we sign off for this episode, there's one quick story that I got. Speaking of fish, when I first moved up here, we had an Oscar, and we got an Oscar from my fiance's cousin because he wanted to get it to fight a piranha for whatever reason. Obviously, that's not going to go well for an Oscar. Her parents had two piranhas, a red belly and a black piranha. So we took the Oscar and everything, got a tank and all that stuff. Well, unfortunately, here in Illinois, the weather gets quite cold during the wintertime. And the heater went out on the tank, and we didn't know it. Came out, found the officer dead. So, we got an old cigar box or shoebox, whatever the hell it was, because we were going to, probably dispose of it. Well, got sidetracked, had the Oscar in the box, right? Put the box in the garage of her parents' house because everything was at her parents' house. We were staying there temporarily while I was paying all student loans and all that shit. So put the box in the garage, and I'm in our area, which was like basically a small apartment because we had a bedroom, living room, kitchen, bathroom. We had everything. All of a sudden, I hear the garage door open, and about 10 to 20 seconds later, I hear one of the most high-pitched, shrillest screams I've ever heard in my life. Her mom opened the box and found a dead fish. Man, I had no idea what the hell was going on. My fiance ran upstairs, ran outside, and just came back dying, laughing her ass off. I forgot all about it. It was fucking hilarious.
Probably thought a witch doctor was after.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was fucking hilarious, man. Still one of my greatest memories since I moved here. But on that note, that is the end of episode 1 of Basic Dude Stuff, Basic Bro Shit, whatever we decide to actually call it. We've said a couple different names this episode if you didn't notice it. Excuse me. But yeah, so Basic Dude Stuff. This is the end of episode 1. Next episode, we will be discussing the XFL as mentioned. Next episode will be shorter. This episode kind of ran to almost an hour. But hey, it is what it is. Some of these episodes are going to do that. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Make sure you give us a follow. Visit our socials. Everything else. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you. Love y'all.
See you later.